Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Global Card Collectors. There's, I guess, a group of regulars on at the moment. There's obviously myself, John, and Justin, and we wanted to get together to talk about a few things, a few highlights from last year, and some goals that we might have for this year. So let's get started with Justin. Justin, how you been? And do you want to maybe give us your number 5 spot in your top 5 pickups of 2024?
Hey, Will. Yeah, absolutely. Been good. Yeah. Good to see you guys again. Good to be back on. Yeah, definitely excited to talk about some pickups from the past year. We'll get into obviously the coming year later, but I think 2024 probably going to be a pretty bigger year for me than 2025. So got some that I'm pretty happy I picked up this year. And this one's number 5. Got a mix of boxing and vintage football, as you know, we've talked about before. This one is 1888 Allen and Ginter in 28 John O'Sullivan. It is an authentic minimum size not met, but it's a pretty darn good looking copy of this card. So this one is John O'Sullivan, if people aren't aware, is kind of the first American sports hero. He was the last bare knuckle boxing champion and the first gloved boxing champion in the 19th century. And he was kind of that first guy to, kind of really be at the forefront of American sport and be like a well-known sports celebrity. He's got a lot of different cards. This actually is not his rookie, but this one is certainly, I think, if you talk to vintage boxing collectors, not only the John O'Sullivan card to have, but I think a lot of people would make the argument that this is kind of one of the grail boxing cards. I certainly thought so. Was not planning on picking it up, but this one came up for auction in December. And given that it's the authentic minimum size not met, which I don't have a problem with. I don't do a lot of altered or trimmed or anything, but minimum size not met. A card from the 19th century that doesn't meet factory standards, who cares? It's not that like there's a ton of these floating around. It looked good. I threw a bid in, and it went for 100 below my max bid, so I got it for a lot less than I thought. So solid win there. So I was pretty happy about that one, and that's my number 5.
Is that a cigarette card? It
certainly is. It certainly is a tobacco card. It was
smaller than that.
Yep, it was a multi-sport set. If you can, the video is not great here, but if you see on the back, it's a multi-sport set. You have boxers, rifle shooters, billiard players, wrestlers, baseball players. So it's a pretty cool set. But this is kind of the card to have from that set for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, I was really happy to get
it. I'm a smoker, so I would have just like bought so many of those cards like back in the day if I was. I took a class in college called, the history of sports, something like that. And it was so much 19th century stuff and like, British, colonial, prototype. And I remember reading a book about John O'Sullivan, and then he fought against this black guy, right? Whose name?
He wouldn't fight against black fighters. There's rumors that he fought like an underground fight with Jack Johnson. I don't know if that's true or not, but there's, that rumors kind of circulated in boxing circles or chat boards or something like that it happened like in, like a tavern in the dead of night or something like that. I have no idea, but that was his deal. He refused to give a black man a shot at the title, which actually during his days of fighting was less relevant for Jack Johnson, who we're going to talk about a little bit more. Spoiler alert, at least with my pickups. But Peter Jackson was kind of the guy in that time in the 19th century that was the kind of black heavyweight that would have deserved a shot. But John O'Sullivan wouldn't give him one. That was sort of a mark against him. Is he was very anti giving a black man a shot at the heavyweight title.
Thanks for interesting. I find it very interesting. Yeah.
And cigarette cards are super cool, man.
Yeah, I love them. That's most of my boxing cards are tobacco cards.
I'll bet. John, what about you? You want to give us your 5th pick of
all right, we'll go from the bottom then. This is this is the oldest thing I have. Cool. This is a 62 Lampo Calcio Mondial Pele. And it's got flags around the border. It's not a rookie. Cool. An SGC one. I got it for a price really enjoyable. And it kind of represents to me like kind of everything I'm going to talk about is something I consolidated in my collection, like either a player or a team or something. And this kind of represents soccer to me. Just I've been selling a lot of soccer, to be frank. Those of you who've listened to me before, whatever, I was very basketball when I got in, got outpriced, I'd say. Went to soccer for that reason and really enjoyed it. But now I'm kind of find myself coming back to basketball and not abandoning soccer altogether, but definitely I'm not looking at it very much these days. So. This is just kind of a cool card. My one Pele, I love it.
That's a great looking card. I had not seen that before because I don't do much soccer, but that is a cool looking card. I love just how clear the picture is on that of him. That is a good looking one, by the way. That is a nice looking one. Just the clarity on that, the color on it.
I agree. The flag. I mean, people know me too. I love flags, so like this really hits. But usually the flags are like full on the bottom and on the side, but this got miscut, so it's like,
that's why it's a 1. That's why it's a 1.
Maybe part of it, but it's not in good shape. You can see it's very old. I mean,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting that both of you guys picked up iconic guys for number 5, people who are like the most well known, or in the top 5 most well known in their fields, because my number 5 is Jordan.
There you go.
So I obviously have the older. These are the medals, the Skybox medals. So I have the older version of it, and so this is the 1998 version of Michael Jordan, basically dunking in front of the Chicago skyline. And those short print refractors of these go for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so early on, when I was living in New Zealand, I guess it must have been January or February of last year. It's when I picked this one up. I probably overpaid for it, but it's been fun having it in my collection, and just to know that it's in my hand. So that's my 5th pick.
I mean, you can't go wrong with MJ. Awesome, awesome card.
I don't do a ton of basketball, but I know that card. That is one of the cooler MJ, just like cooler looking MJ cards out there. And I know my brother has a copy of that one. So yeah, that's a nice pickup.
Very cool. All right, Justin, go straight to number 4, buddy. Let's have a look.
All right. We'll stick with the boxing theme for now and go with the aforementioned Jack Johnson. Now, I picked up a lot of Jack Johnson this year, and I showed some on my post-national episode, but I have a thing for rookie cards, and this is Jack Johnson's rookie. Picked that one up in a PSA 2. It was kind of my first big boxing pickup of the year. And, I talked about Jack Johnson on another episode, and I know a good amount of people are familiar with him, but he was the first black heavyweight champion, really the first black sports star in America. Led a very interesting life. If people want to know more about it, PBS had a documentary called Unforgivable Blackness, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I mean, for me, if I have to pick one Jack Johnson card to put in my top 5 pickups, it's got to be the rookie. Another tobacco card.
What's the specifics on it? So what year was it released, and which city is it from?
Yep, we got the 1909 Ogden, so it was a UK release. 1909 Ogdens. The Ogden set was interesting because there was a series 1 and series 2. I don't know if you can see, but on the back it says second series up at the very top there. Series 1 was released in 1908, and that has some other guys in it. Rookie Joe Gans, for example, was actually the first African American to win any sort of world title when he won the lightweight title, I believe, in 1906. So his rookie's 1908, but it's kind of the same set as Jack Johnson's. It's just series 1 was released in 1908. Series 2 released in 1909. So the Johnson is actually a 1909 release.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. John, how about yourself, buddy? What's your number 4 pick?
I'll keep it short. I've talked about Crusades a couple times and elsewhere. So this is the green out of 25. I've decided to abandon the rainbow. Every time I start a rainbow, I abandon it, and I don't know why I do it. So I've just decided to sell the other like blue and purple. I'm not going to go for the gold. It's going to be so expensive, and use the funds elsewhere. But I like the green. The Mavs. They've always been my second favorite team. They were green in the 80s when I fell in love with them. So I think it's an optimal. That's right. And if I could just elaborate a little more on the Crusade theme, the color. Just got to do some geopolitics, Uh, Green is the color of Islam, so it just kind of that's another just additive element to this whole thing that Western American companies are gonna like create a brand called Crusade. Like, here we go.
We can further that theme of like expansionism. Just talk about how Justin's fantasy team is named American Empire.
That's right. That's right. Well, I figured if I'm in a group with a bunch of people that live outside the U.S., I have to let them know who's coming for them.
Yeah, let them remember. Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean,
Unfortunately, my efforts at fantasy basketball colonialism are going about as well as America's colonial efforts in like Iraq or something. So, not having the intended effect here.
But it sounds good.
We got down this rabbit hole, but this is hilarious.
It sounds good. The name sounds good. All right. Well, my fourth pick is actually someone who played on John's favorite team, and the reason why I'm showing you this card is because this is my first big win on a break. So I think I put in, just because John's a Kings fan, maybe it was like $15 on a break, and this is the card I got. So this is numbered to 25, and it's a sticker auto, but it's of Jason Williams. So
white chocolate.
Yeah, man, very cool. So I was pretty happy to pick this one up. So that one is my number 4 pick.
That was
fun. Oops, sorry. No, I was going to say, a fun fact about Jason Williams. He actually went to high school in West Virginia with Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's right. I did know that. And they used to play basketball together, didn't they? And he said that Randy Moss was incredible on the lobs, just throwing the ball and he'll grab it.
Surprisingly, he was a pretty good athlete, Randy Moss.
Shocking. Yeah.
What a surprise. All right, Justin, let's go straight to number 3, buddy.
All right, number 3, if we got some vintage football collectors watching, they're probably going to ask, why isn't this guy putting this one at number 1? Because this is kind of like the iconic vintage football card.
Oh, wow, cool.
1965 Topps Joe Namath. This has kind of been on the pickup list, like the goals list, for years now. And back in late January of last year, this one popped up. A buddy had it. This card's never going to be cheap, but it was, cheap for this grade and this eye appeal. So I kind of, talked to my wife. I said, I'm not going to find a better one, and I got to get it someday. Might as well pull the trigger now. And, here it is. And I am really happy to have this one. Joe Namath, the player, just okay. He had some big moments, and he's important to the history of pro football because he was so integral to the AFL-NFL merger when he had the big guarantee in Super Bowl III and they won. But as a player himself, stats not that impressive, but the combination of his place in football history and this card, I mean, this is just a cool card.
Agreed.
Very recognizable card, and I do. I was glad to finally check it off the list, but this one's number 3 for me, and I'll explain why the top 2 are kind of rank above it here shortly.
Amazing. That's such a good looking card, dude. It's such a pretty looking card, and what a surprise that it's one of the most well-known vintage football cards, maybe the most well
probably one the most, I'd say. Yeah,
so iconic. That's incredible. Yeah, wow.
That's a good one. It's good one for number 3.
I'm blown away. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's probably more iconic than my top 2, but the list is based on my personal preferences.
That's right.
I'll explain why, but I think objectively this would probably be number 1 if we were going based on like cost or what's most iconic. But I just happen to have a couple I liked better.
Perfect. No need to explain, man. If that's your personal preference, you go for it. John, let's go with you, mate. What's your third?
This is the 2016 Luka Modric. It's an insert to 2016 Euro Prism, which and you don't see many cards of him in blue. I like the Croatian blue. I like it all, but it's a gold. Did I say that? Obviously rare. And if you go for the inserts, like this is not the base parallel. The inserts are like 10-20% of like what a base parallel gold out of 10 would go for. So I like the value. I also find them like more rare because they don't have as many parallels in the inserts. And I kind of just like vainly wanted a Modric gold prism, so it kind of like fits the bill. And like Modric is very much a like I have put a cap in collecting him at this point. I've been selling a lot. Like I got 2023 is all about Modric. I went crazy on it. So when you do, you just like buy everything. And now I just like, now I'm just really being much more selective, trying to get it down to, a finite number. And but this one, it was a can't miss card for me. I love it. The 2016 Prism is like 2015 Prism in basketball, Will.
Yeah.
Jokic's year. So it's like it's just clean. It's kind of an underappreciated set. If I mean, I know you guys maybe don't know the soccer card market, but that's in the soccer card market, it's not as highly esteemed as like 2014 and 2018 Prism and 2017 Topps Chrome. But so it's under the radar a bit.
That card looks like it's really good in person, doesn't it? Does that one like just when you're holding it in your hand? Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's got that refractor-esque kind of I guess detailing and color. It's great.
Thank you. Well,
all right. I don't know if either of you guys will like this basketball player. He's a favorite of mine though. His name is Luca.
There you go. I think I've heard of him.
Not that you call your sons that every day or anything like that.
Exactly. I hear that name a lot in my house. Yeah.
So I picked this one up.
Is your son named Luca?
Yes, and I heard yours is as well. So we got two Lucas floating around.
Oh man, that's awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're smart.
And you wonder where they got the name from, guys. You wonder where they got the name from. So this one is this was a prestige certified Luca card, and I picked this one up at a vintage sale. So they would have this vintage market about an hour and a half drive from my house, and so I took my family on a little road trip, and that's when I picked up that giant box of ice hockey cards. I had this big box of ice hockey cards that I picked up, had no idea what to do with, tried to organize them. It was a good, fun experiment. But in amongst that, I picked up this Luca card for, I want to say like $50. It was pretty good deal. So that one reminds me of the trip. And also it's a Luca card that I haven't seen out in the wild too often. So it was a nice little pickup. I like the way that he's up against a nice black background. And I think it's just a memory of that road trip and basically how me selling the ice hockey cards was able to basically get me this and other cards for free. So yeah, there he is. That's my number 3 pick.
I love that card.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Luca collector and I've never seen it. Like I really like it, man. That's cool. Yeah. I love cards that I haven't seen.
Yeah, cool.
That is awesome.
All right, we're on to number 2. So we're getting down to the second spot. So it must be a good card.
Better than Nemeth.
Well, it's in my opinion. Now this one.
Oh yes, definitely, 100%.
Another one not particularly high grade, but it fell into my lap. I actually had a friend reach out to me on Instagram about this one, and I traded for it. I traded a paper Bowman Tom Brady rookie and a Beckett 7.5 for this Jim Thorpe, and as great as Tom Brady is, I like the deal I got here. It's a CGC authentic. Not altered or anything. The car is just a little bit beat up. I don't think it's coming through well in the picture, but there's a little, there's a minor tear in it kind of right here. But you know what? This is a 33 Gaudy Sport Kings Jim Thorpe rookie card. And Jim Thorpe, if people know anything about American sport, I mean, I think he is the greatest all-around athlete in American history. He was a Olympic decathlon gold medalist in Stockholm in 1911 or 1912, played professional baseball, professional football. I mean, this guy could do it all. And on top of that, he grew up in Oklahoma on a Native American reservation. And if you look at his life, just the kind of challenges he endured as a result of that and what he had to overcome to get where he was. I mean, just an incredible life, incredible athlete. And I mean, to own his rookie card from that 33 Gaudy Sport King set, which is an iconic set. I got another one actually coming from it next. But I mean, this one to me, because of who Jim Thorpe was, that's why I put that one a little bit higher than the Nemeth.
I didn't know the Oklahoma bit. So was he displaced from his land for oil? That was all going on in the 1910s, 1920s.
Yeah, I cannot honestly recall if that was the case. I do know that he endured a lot of discrimination trying to get into sport, and his family was very poor and everything like that. I'm not sure if he was actually displaced or not. I do not remember if that's the case. But yeah, I know he was on a Indian Native American reservation in Oklahoma, and that's where he grew up. And but yeah, an incredible all around athlete with a really, really amazing story.
So what's interesting about that card? Can you hold it up as close as you can to the camera there, Justin? I wanted to show John this because it's the Sports King set, and if you look down the bottom, John, you can see them. You can see them all playing football, and it's very, very similar to the water polo legend card. There we go. So that's a modern, basically, I guess, retake on it. It's super cool, man. So that's why when John showed me that one and Justin showed me the other one, I was like, I must have one in this group.
I love that set. I love the 33 Gaudy Sport Kings. I mean, it's got some heavy hitters in there from multiple sports. Babe Ruth is in there. Again, I got another Sport Kings coming here. Spoiler alert, but I think Ty Cobb is in there. It's a cool set.
Very cool. Very cool. John, how about you, buddy?
I guess this is number 2. Very few people know who this is. His name is Luka Sucic. He now plays for Real Sociedad. He played this. He's on. I'm blanking on Salzburg. Yeah. And this is a stand-in for the card. I don't have it with me, but I bought his one of one. I guess it's a foil fractor in a rookie. And it's just like a total fun. I'm gambling like. I like his game. He's a Luka from Croatia, so I just like, all right. So now I'm selling everything else I have of his, but I mean, he has not popped, and it's really, I mean, I'm an idiot on soccer, really. The arc, though, I know of soccer players is different than NFL and NBA. It tends to be like longer, although it's not like there's some players that kind of peak later, like Modric, for instance. He like kind of peaked in his early 30s. But I think he's like 24 now. So it's just reckless, like Vegas. I'm having fun. Probably gonna get taken out on a stretcher, as this one guy on YouTube says. But it looks pretty similar to this version, which is going to be sold now. Yeah.
I'm learning a ton about soccer cards here. This is actually really cool because I don't know very much. So this is I'm really liking kind of the background you're giving on these cards, and I hope that one works out. But it's fun sometimes to pick up those guys and be like, all right, is this dude gonna pop, right? So yeah, there's a rush to that.
Very cool. All right, my final number 2 in our group is my
there you go.
Authenticated Jonah Lomu autograph rookie card. So I've been looking for this card for a long time. And so as soon as it came up on the Facebook group in New Zealand and someone was selling it, I knew that I had to have it. So really glad that it got authenticated by PSA. So I'd bought it raw probably about this time last year. And as soon as I found a person who was going to basically be able to send it into PSA, do all of the paperwork for that, I got I think I got 5 or 6 orders together, and this was one of them. And it got authenticated. And obviously, with New Zealanders, we know that that these players are going to readily sign as many cards as you want. But it was just having that third-party authentication that I really liked. So having it in the slab, knowing that a third party's looked at the card, looked at the autograph, and said, "This is legit," and putting it in a slab it's nice, and obviously much better for display purposes too, in the slab. So that was like basically, I think I bought the card maybe this time last year, and maybe a week before we left for Istanbul, that's when I got this one sent back to me in the slab. So it was a labor intensive, just long waiting period. It's like, nice. Oh man, has it arrived yet? And I just had to keep contacting the dude, but it came through. So that's my number 2.
I'm excited to see what number 1 is now, because that's an incredible card.
I know what it is. I think
John must know. Yeah. All right, Justin, you lead the way. You've given us some spoilers. What's your number 1?
Number 1 from that Sports King set again, the 33 Sport Kings Red Grange rookie. And so the Thorpe would probably be number 1, if not for the fact, a couple things. One, I like the look of my copy of the Grange better than my copy of the Thorpe. I'm happy to have the Thorpe. I love it, but this one's just a little bit cleaner. Even though it's a 1, it's a pretty good looking one. I also just like the look of this card. I like the leather helmet on there. There's something about those, early 20th century leather helmet football cards that I find very appealing. And also, I like the fact that even though that was Thorpe's rookie in the 33 Sport King set, he was retired by then. He wasn't playing. For Grange, this is still a playing Days card, and that for me means a little something. So very close, but I'm going with the Grange as number one. This was another one that fell into my lap kind of from a friend. So yeah, so that's my number one.
It's a monster. Very cool.
That is cool. I mean, I love your, I don't know, I love your collections, man. Like I just they're historical, like yeah, they're just fascinating.
John, how about you, buddy?
Okay, so this is the big pivot back to basketball is going Kings.
Oh, wow.
This is essential credentials.
Yep.
Hedo Turkoglu, Hidayet is his official name. I feel like he's the first time I had heard of Turkey. As a kid, he joined the Kings, and then, now of course my wife is Turkish and I've been living here for 14 years. So, it's funny, in Turkey, he's kind of among, I'd say, the people Will and I know, a bit of a persona non grata because he's taken the knee to the government. Like he heads the National Basketball Association here. So, more enlightened people who don't like autocracy are kind of like don't like him as much. But if you're into autocracy, you should really have some nostalgia for him. But for me, I don't care. It's not my politics. It's one of the great things about being abroad is you can stay away from your own politics and not care about the ones where you live. Sorry, guys. But anyway, this is a rookie. I like the blue.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But this is what makes it pretty sick.
Oh,
It's
wow.
21 copies.
Wow. Very cool.
So it's like
love the picture too. He just looked half asleep Turkish
boy.
He
looks so young there.
So young.
No collegiate playing stats.
Nice.
Those essential credentials were like the inserts of the 90s too.
That's right.
Right up there. Those are PMGs. That is cool.
Yep.
So I love this card. Yeah, it's
awesome.
I also picked up a couple bibbies, like finest gold refractors. So I'm kind of just focusing in more on like 2002, 2003 Kings, although if this is 2000. But yeah, so just kind of this really symbolized my return to like Kings. So yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Before they became the Kangs, but
Yeah, we were Kangs for like a few days after the coach firing, but I feel like we're Kings again now. So we'll see how it goes. It's always a wild ride with us. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool, man. That's great.
How about you, Will?
I obviously know John's return to, let's say, early 2000s basketball cards, which I'm very happy about. He took a little while to get convinced to move in there, but now that he's in, he's going in full steam, which is great. My favorite one, and we've talked about it a bit on the channel, but this is easily my favorite pickup of this past year, and it's my Steve Adams rookie card. So it's a on-card auto from National Treasures. You got our flag in the back. You got Steve on the front. It's numbered to 60. So really, really cool copy. And I don't know if you know the story behind this, Justin, but John and I were both chasing this card.
Oh, really?
And John found a listing on eBay that had 2 for sale.
Wow.
So
you both got
nice. There we go. So we're twinsies.
you talk about just a good looking card. That is a beautiful card. I love National Treasures. There's a lot of modern set designs, ultra modern set designs where I'm like, I don't know. This is gorgeous. National Treasures does a great job. And I love the flag in the back, the colors. Yeah. That's just a great looking card, guys. That is a good one.
Yeah. So we picked up the pair of them on eBay quite a lot lower than we were expecting to pay. John and I were ready to go to the moon with these because there's only 60 copies, Yeah. And to have 2 for 1, we got a really good deal. Like, I think if you'd split it up individually, it was still well under at least the most recent comps, and this card doesn't come up very often. So this is definitely my number 1 pickup of 2024.
Very nice.
All right, guys. So what's our plan for 2025? What do you guys have in the works? What would you like to do for this coming year? Do you have any goals or anything specific that you're looking to get?
I can kick us off again. Just keep going in order to keep uniform, I guess. But so so I think that I kind of said initially, I think 2025 is going to be a little bit probably less intensive in terms of picking up some of these monster cards than 2024 was. 2024 was just a good opportunity to do that. 2025, we're doing some house projects around here. I think we're going to pick up a second car now that we're out in Tampa instead of Chicago, and we're in the wasteland of no public transportation or anything. So, just a year where I think there's going to be a few more expenses floating around. So, a little bit maybe reduction in the card budget. But one of the cool things about the hobby, right, is whatever your budget, you can get into some cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
No doubt about that. So for me, kind of like I kind of assessed at the end of the year, there's three things I really like to see in my collection, and that's iconic cards. I like to have some scarce cards floating around, and then nostalgic cards that kind of take me back to a time, of my personal, like growing up and players and teams that I followed at that time. And I have a good amount of those first two things. I picked up some good iconic cards over the years. The boxing stuff really gives me some scarce cards, and I'm still going to be looking at that this year. It's not like I'm abandoning that, but really where my focus in 2025 is, or at least the beginning of 2025, it always seems like around the summertime I have a shift and I get into something else every year. So I can't stay focused for more than 6 months. But early on here, man, you talk about going back to the 2000s or into the 90s. That's where I'm going. I realize that, where I don't have as much as I'd like in my collection is some of this nostalgic stuff I grew up with. So I'm looking at kind of mid to late 90s sets like, Topps Finest, Topps Chrome, Bowman's Best Football. Looking to get refractors of, some of the guys from those sets that I really like. I like defensive players quite a bit. I've already kind of picked up guys like I got a Primetime 95 Finest refractor, Junior Seau, who was one of my favorite players growing up, 94 Finest refractor, some other guys in there too. But really trying to focus in on team stuff too, as to where John's doing Return to the Kings, I'm doing Return to the Lions, even though we didn't exactly hold up our end of the bargain in the playoffs.
No
This year.
worries. Don't worry about
it. Happens, right? Injuries and poor quarterback play will do that. But going back in time to some of those guys, Barry Sanders in particular, I've already picked up a few Barry cards, but he's my guy. Barry Sanders, and then two guys like Herman Moore, Chris Spielman, guys that they're not Hall of Famers, but these were guys that I loved as a kid. Adding more of those guys to my collections. Also too, it's not quite 90s, but Calvin Johnson's another one. I've already added a pretty nice Calvin auto to the collection this year. He's another one of my favorites. So kind of zoning in on this kind of mid 90s nostalgic stuff generally, and then more specifically getting into some more team Lions collecting, because there's just really nice cards to be had in there for you can pick something up for $50, $100, something like that. It's not like some of this vintage stuff where it's like, all right, like I've got to go all in to get some of this bigger stuff. Like you can get some bigger cards in that world in pretty solid condition and grade for a little more reasonable price. And again, I want to look and see more nostalgia in my collection. So it's not just about cost, it's about what am I missing? And that seems to be the piece that I'd like to see more of and add to here in 2025. So for me, that's kind of where I'm headed a little bit more. Not again, like as I see boxing stuff that pops up, I've already, picked up a couple vintage boxing cards I found deals on. So I'm not abandoning it, but where's the focus going to be? It's going to be on adding more of this kind of like 90s and Lions team nostalgic stuff for my collection.
Great. That's so cool, mate. That's really one thing I want to see if you can do for John actually is you did mention in amongst the cards that you have bought, and I think we're planning on doing an episode, and we'll probably have to do it a 3-way episode because I think John knows much more about 90s football than I do. But can you try and sell John on the primetime refractor card when he's in the 49ers uniform? I might have just sold it to him already.
I don't have it on me right now to show it, but man, 1995 Topps Finest Dion refractor. It's his only season in the 49ers uniform, right? He just had the 1 year. The 95 Finest football set is, I think, one of the coolest looking sets of the 90s. It's got kind of like the lightning bolts coming in the background, so you have the effect of that in the background. And Primetime's kind of in his stance where he's, kind of in that corner stance, ready to cover somebody. Good view of him in that Niners uniform. It's a really cool card. And I think I picked it up in an 8 for like, I think $50, $55. So
great.
Like the price point is fantastic.
Wow, that's done and done. I had no idea about 95 Finest. I bought my first football card maybe a month or two ago, a Jerry Rice 98 Flair, the Great Grace, I think, parallel.
Okay. I'm familiar. I've seen it. I don't own it, but I've seen that card.
It's gorgeous, man. I
Yeah,
mean, and he's like, he was number one on a list of all-time players. I mean, he's an amazing player, right?
yeah.
Um, and uh, and it just like super nostalgic. But it's like those cards, like you can get into '90s when football much more affordably. Like that was
Mhm.
less than $20 that card. It just looks amazing. Um, I don't
I
know.
missed out on a Rice Atomic Refractor, Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor, for like $45 a few weeks ago, and I'm very unhappy about it. I saw the offer, and I'm like, oh, accept. Somebody had already got it. So
Wow.
the perils of having a job, right? Sometimes I wish, man, if I were just unemployed, I could just sit around and see all these offers coming in real time as opposed to like 3 hours later. So it's but yeah, I missed out on that one because Rice is another one. He can be had pretty darn cheap for some cool cards in the '90s. But
Yeah,
yeah, like
Dion.
Will said, yeah.
A Dion would be great. I would like a Steve Young from the '90s too. So I'll have to get your takes and start diving into that a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna do an episode as a kind of spoiled, but
that's
we're gonna
right.
do an episode
Okay, true.
of the '90s, 2000s, I guess. The because Justin listened to yours and John's episode on the history of, I guess, refracted cards, the tops cards, and so
I
Topps
loved it.
Chrome. Yeah.
let's
That was a
definitely
great
arrange
episode.
something to do with a focus on that down the line. It'll be fun because I'm curious to see what's out there as well with I guess '90s football cards.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Nice. That'll be fun to research too.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
John, how
Uh,
about you, buddy?
yeah, I mean, I brought this Adams card because, uh, you know, I actually, and I have two other of these right now.
Oh wow.
Internet, this subset is called International Treasures inside National Treasures. It goes from 2013 to 2018. There are 5 years of it. I don't like 2018 and 2016, and 2014 doesn't exist. There's 6 years, but I like 13, 15, and 17. These are both 17s. These are both 2017s, and this one's 2013, the Adams. And 2015 is the best though. The flag is just huge.
That's awesome.
And so like I've been collecting this International Men of Mastery set, and these are just way better. I mean, they're on-card autos, and like Stephen Adams for me, I only want one card, but he's just like a great guy. Like he's just the man, and so it like fits the bill. So I kind of like the set that subset or the previous set I was collecting, like there are 20 cards in there. They have like Ben Simmons, like he shouldn't be in there. Kyrie
No.
Irving, it's stupid. So this way I can kind of pick and choose kind of my greats internationally and get on card autos of them. So I've this year I've already picked up a Goran Dragic, a Yusuf Nurkic, it's got its Bosnian flag, and then a Sabonis, of course, Arvidas.
Oh, nice.
And then this morning I woke up and saw that there was a Nene available for $17 all in. So I just hammered that. So
Cool.
get the Brazilian flag in there. So I'm just having totally fun with this. And I feel like I'm finally going to be restrained about it. And like patient, there's just plenty of time. So like maybe after 4 years, I've learned this. We'll see. But the Nene this morning was not a suggestion that I was, but yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
Anyway,
17 bucks doesn't seem like you've gone off the deep end, mate.
No, I know.
It seems like you would have been wrong not to do that for 17 bucks. It's like, but then again, that's how I always end up, like, buying a $17 card every day. It's like, well, is that restrict? I don't know, but it's fun.
Totally.
That's for sure. It's a blast.
It is. It is. And outside of that, the Kings, I do want a Oscar Robertson rookie card, 1961. So I'm looking around, like I've been looking for months. I kind of been looking for a couple years, but maybe not that intensely until recently. Kind of realized I want around a PSA 4. So it's going to be a big outlay, but that's kind of what Nathaniel and I agree is kind of the best value zone with that card for condition and price. And so I'll be looking for one of those as well. And I hope to attend a card show and or go to Belgrade with Will in Serbia this year. And I have just a public service announcement I'd like to make. I think eBay should start sending out painter's tape in some of their orders. And on it, it can say eBay on the tape, but on the front of it, it can say friends don't let friends use Scotch tape on top loaders.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
And I'm
like
sick
that.
of that. So
Yeah.
that's what I got for this year. There,
Wow.
eBay, free marketing.
That's
So
awesome.
interesting that we're looking at this card again. So I guess my goal for this year, and John kind of hinted at it. He said, "Why would I want another one of these? Like you got Steve's cards. I've got so many of his base rookie cards. So my plan is to try as best as I can, try and consolidate and sell off a lot of the cards that are $2 cards, $5 cards, $10 cards, and consolidate into some more high end stuff that I would like. So that would be the plan, to sell off the lower end stuff and start looking for some of these national treasures cards and that kind of thing that I can get into. So that's probably goal number one for me. And like John, I think my second goal is to be a little bit active in the community here, to see if we can build card community here. So John and I, as we speak, are planning on launching our first trade day here in Istanbul.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to happen on Sunday, the 2nd of February. So we've planned it all out. Probably a few things will go wrong, but who cares? We're putting ourselves out there. It's myself, John, Berk, who you might know, and Emir. All four of us have been on the channel before, and we're going to give it a crack. And I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm
That's going to be
almost
a blast. That
nervous.
is cool.
I'm almost nervous that maybe we're going to be busy all day long, but bring it on, man. Like if it's too crowded, we'll find a bigger venue next time and go for it. But I'm hoping to make those sorts of things regular in the local community. And then with John, now that I'm here in Europe and not down at the bottom of the earth, basically, isolated in that amazing, wonderful, beautiful New Zealand community, but just to see what else is out there and document it as well. And Belgrade is very, very, very high on my list. So if we can arrange something where we get to watch a EuroLeague game, we get to go to that card group, we get to meet collectors there, it'll be a fun, long weekend, I think.
That's awesome. I didn't know you guys were doing that. That's super cool what you guys are doing in the community there. And it sounds like it's growing and there's interest in, what you posted from the Istanbul card show. It's just really cool what you guys are doing over there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be fun, I think.
Will coming back is definitely a catalyst. It's been great. He's been all about this. He saw it for the last year kind of in New Zealand, and I think learned a lot of tricks of the trade. So I would say he's our leader. But he's not an autocrat, despite living there.
They don't know it yet.
Yeah, and maybe he will one day. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll grow into one. He's got it in. I believe in you, Will.
We all have it in us.
Make the Istanbul card scene great again.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get some red hats, John.
I mean, yeah, Turkish flag, good move. Yeah, like let's do it, dude.
Excellent.
Yeni. Yeah, anyway. I won't make jokes more. But he's been it's great having him back, and excited for these, and making more community too. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm so glad to be on with you, Justin, too. I've really enjoyed your episodes, and I might join your fantasy league next year if you guys have a spot. And so I'll take down the Empire from here.
It's you and everybody else. I think I might be in last. And next to last. I think Paul's the only one lower than me. So, but yeah, man, it's good to finally, because this is really the first time we've got to talk face to face. John, great to connect with you. I've enjoyed watching your episodes and just seeing how much we have in common. Well, I would say as collectors, but we also apparently in children's names we have similar tastes too. So, man, yeah, it's been really cool jumping on with you guys today and getting to talk about this stuff.
Right on. I got nothing else. I think with that, we can sign on out.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thanks, guys.